JJ back again with another episode of Bleuwave Live. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about the pre-estimating process. I think last time we ended up of kind of how to take care of the customer in a lead generation type thing, and now I want to talk about the pre-estimating. I'll probably break this down into a couple videos, but I get a lot of questions about how to dive in, when do you charge for it, not charge for it. So let me just get started and go right into it. From the perspective of a general contractor. Now this can translate to one of our trade partners or anybody else, and I'm just going to speak through it through our lens, the way Bleuwave looks at it and the way that we see that we can offer a difference to our customers in this regard. So we get a call on a potential project, and a lot of times they'll say, hey, can you give us a bid? The immediate answer is, well, no, because our time and money is worth something. Try to ask a million questions. And one of them, all of the things that you can imagine. Do you guys have the financing? How are you going to pre-qualify this? What's going to be the decision-making process once you get the bids? All those kind of things. If after those questions are answered, whether it's by an owner or an agent or maybe even an architect that's reached out that's representing an ownership group, then we will decide if we want to pursue the bid or the quote per se. And then it's a process of getting the information out to our trade partners. A lot of times we'll do that to validate things as far as the numbers. And sometimes even going back one step is, are we doing a feasibility study or are we doing a hard bid? So in the feasibility realm, those are where there might be a chicken scratch sketch on a napkin per se, and just a dialogue around what the project is envisioned to be. That's more of a feasibility study. And then a true bid or quote would be around CDs or construction drawings, as we call them. So for those of listening and watching who are novices, there's Michael and Devin Stone run a company called Markup and Profit. I'll give them a little kind of lead in or kudos right now. They primarily operate as an advisor and consultant in the residential area, but I met Michael quite a few years ago, and he's produced a number of books and blogs and websites. For those of you who are intimidated or frustrated by the estimating process, I would encourage you to reach out to him, look at his books, look at his products, and read some of them, because they're very profound in breaking it down to some very simple elements. He goes into great detail about, should you charge for your estimate, should you not, what do you disclose, how is that a benefit to you or against you in certain markets. And I think one of the best things that he touches on that I encourage everyone to understand is your difference between markup and margin. I'm not going to get into the explanation here, but again, for those of you who are having trouble deciding what that looks like in your own organization, please go through the due diligence to get that on the front and center of being accurate for what you're going after. Even involve your accountant if you need to. These typically relate to what your overhead is, or through accounting terms, your SG&A. And the more you know that, the easier it's going to be to put the rest of it together. So then once you jump into the actual estimating process, I can't emphasize enough to have transparency. There's a lot of arguments about what to do and what not to do here, but we've taken just a hardline stance that we're going to be 100% transparent. And I find it to be very educational. So what it's allowed us to do as a more of a startup versus a longer tenured company is it gives us a little bit of an advantage where we can use that as an educational tool. Because at the end of the day, if you're competing on price, you've already commoditized yourself in the marketplace. Where if you have the ability to use the estimating process as an educational piece, notice that I didn't say sales piece, I said educational, because I'm convinced that in today's market, the consumer, if you are willing to give them a free education and free information, they will take that as, I'm not saying that they're going to give you a higher mark or trust you more, but if you do it in the right manner, I do believe you'll have a benefit against somebody that's just given numbers or giving what I call a sales pitch, because it also usually leads to further dialogue of, Where's the value engineering? Okay, JJ, as a general contractor, this number seems high within the estimate itself. What would you do differently? Once they start engaging and asking you questions about where your expertise is, you've already helped them. Now notice again, I didn't say it's a win and I didn't say it's a sale, but you've helped them. And the more boxes you check that you're helping them, you now are in a better position to win that book of business. So this kind of, again, like I said, this is the what I call the pre-bidding, kind of pre-construction start off. I'll go into more detail in the next video, but hopefully that gives everyone a sense of just kind of understanding before you dive in. Make sure you're not wasting time and money chasing just bids for bid's sake. Make sure you understand your own internal numbers before you start going after what I call the hard construction costs. Those are the actual material, labor, equipment pricing that you either will do as a self-performing contractor or your subcontractor and trade base. And then the final thing is to understand what I call the below the line items. Imagine looking at a spreadsheet and understanding what's below the line. Those could be things like bonding costs, insurance costs, taxes. Taxes are a big thing that I like to emphasize in educating customers, because every LUG, or local unit of government, has very different tax structures. So I see a lot of mistakes when I'm going against other general contractors where, let's say the owner shows me at the end a comparison, and I'll be like, well, that tax bracket is wrong. And they'll be like, what do you mean? And so I'll explain it to them. So before every proposal that I put together, I get with my accountant and double or triple check what the current tax liability is for that particular kind of job in that location, and any kind of ramification around that. So again, if you kind of start off with this premise, I think you'll be successful and have a better understanding of how you go into the next phase of the estimating process. Until the next video, stay tuned, and thanks for watching Bleuwave Live.